Hi everyone, it's Sharon and I am back today to share with you my April design team project for Louisa Heinzel. And this project I am super in love with because it is botanical themed, and that is definitely one of my favorite subjects. So the outside of this journal is tied up with this sari silk ribbon. I actually have a large sari and I just tore a strip of the edge of it. I thought this went well with the cover, and I have lots of length on that. And then for the cover itself, I repurposed this vintage book, and I love the gold on there with the dark blue. I put some corner protectors on there on the front and on the back. And what else can I tell you? I wrapped the spine with this pretty botanical print paper, and I left my signatures exposed. For some reason I just felt like I wanted to do that on this one. And then I just added a little strip of lace on the front to kind of pretty it up a little bit. It's a really nice size. I think it's about 4 by 7, a little bit less maybe, and very stuffed. What I did for the inside covers is I left the ones that were in the book because they're this beautiful periwinkle blue color and I just love it. So I covered the spine with the same paper that I have on the outside of the cover. And then you can see the back is the same paper as well. And I thought that matched up pretty well with all of the images in the kit. So I used 2 of Louisa's kits for this project. The first one is called Whimsical Flower Book, and it's just these really beautiful vintage floral images. And then the second one is a companion kit. It's called Whimsical Flowers and Ephemera Kit, and has some really pretty tags in it. So I'll just step through the journal. All of the vintage whimsical flower images from her kit I printed on coffee dyed paper. So it just gives even a little bit more of a vintage look to it. Here I printed an old letter on vellum. This page is actually a ledger book page that I've coffee dyed and then printed with this image of like old wallpaper. And here I used some avocado dyed paper, did a little bit of stitching on there and created a pocket. And then in there I tucked this tag, and this is a tag from Louisa's Whimsical Flowers Ephemera Kit. I just added a little bit of stitching and a label on there, layered it up with some book page. And on the back, I did a little bit of stamping, added a little pocket, and then put in this little handmade tea card. This is painter's masking paper, and that is coffee dyed, so it's got a nice little crinkle to it. I just added a little bit of layering on that page. Here I created a pocket and with some stitching and washi tape. And in there, this is one of the journal cards from Louisa's kit. I had a little bit of lace on there and then some grid paper on the back. I also have some avocado dyed doilies in the journal. On this page, I had a lot of fun with this. I love using old photos, especially ones that maybe don't have such great picture, and just do a little modeling paste on there. This one I mixed modeling paste with some acrylic paint, and I got this really light lemony yellow-green color. I love the way that looks with the black and white. And I just made a little side tuck with that, or a corner tuck, and then I took this vintage sewing pattern envelope and made a little journaling spot out of that. Here I created a belly band. It is again using some of a page from the book actually, and it's got some of that same kind of periwinkle paper to it. I just did a little stenciling on there with some ink. And then in there I tucked this piece of antique French ephemera, and this is from 1903. It's quite large. And then we could do some journaling on the back of that. This is an Edith Holden book page, and in there I tucked this little journaling card. I put this dragonfly wax seal on there, and then layered it up with a little bit of wool thread, and then decorated the inside of that. Here I just added a little bit of decorative paper and stitched that down to close the pockets up. Here I created a tab with a little bit of layered paper. Did some stenciling on that page. And then on the edge of this page, I clipped this envelope. I made a whole bunch of envelopes from a wall calendar that I had from last year. And they're just add some bright fun and really pretty botanical images on those. And then I just tucked a couple of journaling cards inside there. Here I created a corner tuck on the top of the page with an old time card piece, and then in there I've got this journaling card, and then this is a piece of Italian paper, and that makes a nice little place to journal. I added a strip of stencil paper on there, a sticker on that page, and then here I stitched on a piece of ledger. Here I have another top loading pocket, and I just turned the corner back and put a little full button on there, and then in there I just have this journaling card. Little cluster on the top of that page. The other side of that printed ledger paper. And the vellum letter. And then here I took a piece of embroidery and just stitched it down and created a side pocket on there. And in there I have this tag. This is also from Louisa's kit. And I have some embossed paper on the back. I'm always happy. I love to see the pretty paper peek through in between the signatures. And this is, I just love the way it complements the botanical images. On this page, I created a ruffle from some old antique French fabric. And this is a page from a botanical book as well. And then in the pocket, I've got this journaling card. And I added a place to journal on the inside. This is what the outside looks like. This page, I added a bit of washi. Here I created a corner tuck with some embossed paper, and I just ran a couple of colors of ink over the top of that. And here is another tag from the kit that I created. Added a little bit of lace for the top. And I layered that up with, again, some of the vintage time cards that I have. This page is one I created in a tutorial a few weeks back where I stitched some seams into the paper and then did an edge punching on there. They just create some fun little tuck spots. So in here I put some faux tea cards there and then on the top. On this page I flipped one of my antique postcards, and this is, well, it's not antique, it's from 1951. I like the flower image on the front. Here in this pocket, this is a very old piece of French ephemera. It's a little on the fragile side, but I just like to sneak those in some of the pockets. They're just so pretty. And then you could journal on the back side if you wished. I did a little bit of stamping on the top of the pages. In the center of the signature, I inserted it. This is a page from a book that I had that had some really pretty plates in it of different places in London. And on the strings, I added a bulb pin with some teeny little beads. I ordered these beads and I thought they would be really pretty, but they're way smaller than I thought they would be. They fit nicely on a bulb pin. Here I created a pocket with this piece of music paper, trimmed that up with some washi, and then tucked one of the journaling cards in there. And I just did some faint stenciling on the back. In this pocket, I trimmed it up with a piece of old book page that I stenciled. And then in there, I have this page from a vintage art book that I had. And it's got a color chart on this side. I thought that was kind of fun. Here I did a little bit of stamping. And on this page, I clipped a couple of items. I have this vintage piece of wallpaper that I thought could be used for journaling. And then this came from an old French ledger as well. Here's the other side of that page. You could also use these tucks to put something in. And here I put a journaling card with a botanical image. This has actually been waxed with beeswax, so you can kind of see the book page through it. It makes it translucent. And then a place to write on the back. Here's a piece of vintage ledger that flips up, so there's a lot of journaling places there. And then in this pocket, I just put this book page from a botanical book that I have and added a little bit of doily on there. And then the last signature. The colors in these botanicals are just fantastic. Here I created a belly band and tucked in this little journaling spot as well. Lots of places inside there to journal. And I actually took this belly band and wrapped it all the way around the page on this side and added an extension there. So then on this side, I tucked in this little journaling card, put a piece of old lace on the top. This is some Florentine paper that I actually picked up myself when I was in Italy a couple of years ago, and I thought, well, I might as well start using that once. And then I just added this flap with piano paper and some embossed paper, and back that with the masking paper, and then just some very faint stenciling on there of a rose pattern. This is another page that I demonstrated in a couple weeks back in my tutorial. And here I just covered did some fancy stitching on there and put a button on there and created a little tuck spot at the top. And in there I tucked this little tag made from some wallpaper. And then again, you can tell I've been at my embossing machine the last couple of weeks. I did up a whole bunch of sheets. Stamp at the top, and then here's another piece of vellum with some very nice script on there. And then for this pocket, I layered it with a piece of lace, a lace panel. I think that was a curtain panel. And then in there, I tucked this vintage letter or envelope that I have. And then I just did a little bit of decoupaging a napkin on there. And then inside there, I tucked some book pages from this book. Here I created some side tucks and actually added a piece of embossed paper over the top and folded it back and stitched it up so it kind of looks like a seam that you would see in clothing. And then in that pocket I took one of the tags from the kit and created this tag. And then this is a page from a bird book that I have. Some really pretty birds. And on this side I have another side tuck, and then I just took a couple of the journaling cards from Luisa's. This is from her kit, and this is a freebie that she has made available, and put them together with a little brad. And then there's some nice scripty paper on the back. In this pocket I've got an old French letter image. I just tied that up with some string, and you could definitely journal on the back side of that. In this side I just layered up some various pieces of paper, and then on this linen I stamped some flowers on there. And then on this side I also have another cluster. And I've got this tag. A little bit of stenciling on the back again. Here again I did some layering with papers. And on this page I clipped this journaling card, which I again made from, it's like the fly sheet of this particular book. Just layered up some laces and different papers. I left the stitching as is on the back. I kind of like the way that looked, and I just added a label to it. And then this page I again did some stenciling with modeling paste. Just some pretty roses. Then over here I took a envelope, a glassine envelope, stitched that down, and then in there I slid this. It's an antique postcard from a bank dated 1903. And I just did some decoupaging with roses on there. Added a tab at the top, and then on this side I also decoupaged. And then in this side of the pocket, there's a slim little pocket, and in there I put this bookmark that I made. And then that's backed with some pretty decorative paper. And that does take us to the back side. So that is my project for this month. I hope you enjoyed that flip through, And until next time, bye-bye.